Guy Cater. Welcome to the Guy Cater Show. Fascinating show tonight. First up, Mike Colonna, well known as Walnut the Clown, and also the man who takes care of the archives at the Variety Artists Club of New Zealand. And he's followed by Amadeus Diamond. Amadeus is a young comedian making a start in the industry, and I'm sure he has a fabulous future in front of him. First up, Michael Colonna, known as Walnut the Clown and a few other things as well. Michael, really good to see you, mate.
Nice to meet you.
Now, you've been performing for many, many years. How long have you been in the business?
Oh, about 36 years.
36 years.
Yeah.
Have you always been Walnut the Clown?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Well, it's all to do with Acorn. If you remember
yes.
Jonathan Acorn, I think
Yes.
you've spoken to him already.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, well, we teamed up at one point in time, and it was Acorn and Walnut.
That makes a lot of sense.
Does he?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what do you mainly specialise in? Is it kids' parties?
I used to be, what I wanted to be was a clown.
Right.
Full stop, children's clown. Scared of adults, so I didn't want to work with them.
Right.
And then tried to be a clown. I mean,
Yeah.
I wanted to be a clown, but I had no idea what a clown was.
Well, you've certainly learned over the
I
years.
have learnt.
Yes, you're very good now.
Thank
see
you.
you in shopping malls. We see little pieces of you in children's shows. You know what? We have a little clip of you at a children's birthday party. Have a look over here.
And a money daddy growl. Come on out, you, I know you're in there. What? What? He's not there. Oh, maybe he's over here. He's not there. Well, have a look in your pocket. Is it in there? Didn't even have a pocket. Somebody stole his pocket. Call the police. His pockets has been stolen. All
You
right,
always
have
get
a
the
look.
reaction?
You would know, you used to be,
Well, I used to,
you were
yes.
happy to hobo.
I was.
I saw you at the Easter show.
Yeah, I was happy to hobo for a long time. I love performing for kids. Do you get the same feeling?
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So most of your work these days is what? Doing your children's parties?
No, most of my work is old folks' homes
Right.
and a little bit of adult stuff, but mainly old folks' homes. And still some children things.
Yes.
But clowns are kind of not PC anymore.
Michael, as Walnut the Clown, you travel around shopping malls as well, don't you? You're a great balloonologist.
That was I couldn't find enough work, so I created a persona, shall I say, of selling balloons in shopping
Yes.
malls, and that was amazing for a long, long time.
All your work as an inventor, has that not paid off?
I don't think I'm that good an inventor, actually, but would you like to see some of my
I'd
inventions?
love to see some of your
Well,
inventions.
I brought some along here in my hard case. There we are. And first off, I'd like to show you this one. This is a clock for people that are either on holiday or don't really want to know what the time is, see? But it's keeping very good time, as you can see.
As you can see.
Now, here's another thing I invented. It's a mirror for really ugly people. See that?
I have never looked so good.
Spray-on T-shirts.
Oh, really?
Yep. There's another nice one here. Look, this is trouser glue.
And how do
You know
use that?
how people walk around and their trousers kind of fall down and you get a big crack and at the back? You glue them on with this and they don't fall down.
Oh, really?
It's fantastic.
There's another invention out there. It's called a belt.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'll explain that to you later on.
Okay. There's another one here. This one, it's pumpkin seed. What you do is you get the pumpkin, you take the seed out, you throw the pumpkin away, and you can actually eat these things.
Really?
Yeah.
And you've invented that?
Well, yeah.
Wow, the mind you must have in that head.
Mine does boggle now. I've got deodorised garlic bread here. Look at that. I made this for you this morning. You smell that.
What is this?
It's deodorised
Yes,
garlic bread.
I can't smell
Don't smell it?
anything.
It's fantastic because you don't want garlic on your breath if you're going out somewhere.
Of course, yeah.
And of course, if you find that it doesn't taste very good, you can put some of this garlic salt on, you see. So those
And they've not sold those ideas?
I haven't really marketed them yet, but I'm very good at thinking things up.
Yes, I can understand that.
You may have noticed.
You're also very good at writing things down and keeping notes, and you look after the archives of the Variety Artists Club of New Zealand. So with all the comedy aside, that is an incredibly important record of New Zealand entertainment history. Talk me through that.
Well, when I came on as archival officer, things were a bit of a mess, and I ended up with a list of all of the people who have received awards for the Variety Artists Club. So I had a whole list of names, and I'm looking through these names, and I'm going, who are these? 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 And most of them I didn't know. I didn't have a clue. I rang up Tony Savage, who you probably remember, Tony,
Yes.
who played the squeeze box,
Yes.
the blind lady, and she was able to tell me what some of them did, but I realised each and every single one of these people have lived a life. A lot of them have passed on now. Same as with our Benny winners. A lot of our
Yes.
Benny winners have gone. You know, of the 53 or 54 that we have now, there's probably only 20 left, 20,
Yes.
30. So that was when I kind of went, well, for me it's really important to go around and interview the variety artists that are still alive. And I've been interviewing the Benny people. I was just lately, John, you know John.
John Rolls?
Yeah, I've done John Rolls. Who's the other John? John Maybury.
Oh, John Maybury,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
John Maybury, we've just done him, and moved Smith, I'm going to be doing him soon. Because they're all human beings, and each person that you meet has got a life.
And they've all been part of the entertainment industry in New Zealand, the history.
Yeah.
I actually met a couple of quite well-known television comedians, you could call them. They're on sort of not 2 or 3 days, but on 7 days a week, that sort of thing. And they actually thought that stand-up comedy had started in New Zealand with Mike King and Ewan Gilmore, who are both brilliant stand-up comics, but you know, you go back to the 50s and the 40s and the 30s.
The Kiwi
and
Concert Party.
Kiwi Concert Party, yes. And so people don't know these things, that's my point. And so what you're doing is quite fantastic.
If you don't know your past, how can you work towards the future? You know, most of the best gags were written years ago.
Yes.
And the best
We
routines.
just turn them around.
Isn't YouTube fantastic?
Yes, it is.
You know?
Yes.
Abbott and Costello and Laurel and Hardy, and learn all their gags. Do them because nobody's ever seen them before.
No, that's right.
Who's on first?
That was a good routine.
Yeah.
Well, let's get back to you. The one thing about New Zealand is it's difficult to make a living, and we all talk about it. Being a clown, is that a lucrative?
It was.
It was?
It was. It's no longer lucrative.
No.
You have to reinvent yourself maybe every 10, 20 years.
Yes.
And I don't know what I'm going to be next, but I'm lucky in that. And now I'm 65, and so I'm given money to keep my head out of the way. You know.
The government gives you a gig,
Yeah, they
gig
give
a
me
week. Yes. It's a prize
It's
for
probably
living
worth
so
2
long.
gigs a week. you know.
Yes, yeah.
And Larry Morris said it's the first time in his life he's ever had a regular income.
Yes. Well, I was the same just about, really, when it came up. I know it's hard to believe I'm 65, but good fun, isn't it, getting money from the government?
Oh, it's lovely.
And we've earned it
Oh,
over the
yeah.
years, the entertainment we've done,
yeah.
and not been paid for enough. Yeah.
Yep.
So what's the future hold for you, Michael?
Well, I'm basically more archival work now that I've got time to do that, and a bit of gardening. But I want to get back on the road again. I want to go back and, as I said, reinvent myself. Just because people are no longer interested in the clown as a person. There are other personas. There's storytellers. I don't know. We have to find that out. That's what reinventing yourself is
Of
all
course.
about.
Is much magic in your act?
In my clown show, there is
Yes,
a lot of
yeah.
magic. Yeah.
Well,
So
is
this
it-
is not magic, though.
This is not magic?
I
What is
can
this?
make magic. I'll show you. First off, we'll make a little. In fact, yeah, you can have a go. I'm going to make a little flower. We'll make a purple and pink one.
So there's nothing wrong with the lungs.
Nothing wrong with the lungs. That's all muscle. This is just a little lapel flower, or if you've got a rubber band, which I didn't bring, you can put it on your hand. And this is
Looking beautiful.
This is great. Cut that like that. Throw that off. There you are. Look at that.
Oh,
That's a squirty
wonderful.
flower. You watch.
Oh,
Isn't that fantastic?
too late.
Too late.
And you're going to do it.
Actually, I've perfected the squirty flowers, all kinds of different techniques, but I won't show you any because you might just get wet.
I have been wet for years.
Yeah.
So.
This is, I just love this one. Where are we? That's not it. That's not it. That'll do. Big balloon flower.
I know this is when I should be coming in with some very clever repartee.
Oh, this is when I start singing, you know.
Ah,
When it's spring again, but I'm not allowed to sing because apparently you're not allowed to interview singers. I heard.
you can sing, Michael, anytime.
Oh, thanks. Because when I'm making balloons for the old folks, Mickey, hey, Mickey, boomba, boomba. Oops, sorry. Right.
So when you're doing the balloons, oh, look at that, beautiful. That is beautiful. How many would you blow up in one gig?
If I was doing an hour, I don't know, maybe 30. But a lot of them would be really simple.
Right,
this
but
one.
well, what I'm getting at is you don't have any problems with your eyes, with the blood vessels? No.
Did you have trouble?
No, a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours some years ago, just kept blowing balloons all afternoon and burst a couple of blood vessels in his eye. Yes.
A lot of people, when they're blowing them up, the knack is to actually give it a little tug, like that. If you don't give it a tug, you try and blow it up. That's really hard.
Right.
What was I doing? Oh, people say, how did I get started? Well, I used to work in the sausage factory. You know, you're working down the road, you see this really handsome man, and you have a look in your bag and you can't find your lipstick. You know the feeling?
Yeah, I know the feeling.
So you get out your chipolata sausages and you whack them on and bingo.
Bingo.
Watch this. Sorry, there you go.
Now, Michael, when you're performing for children, you've been doing it now for so many years. Have you noticed a change in kids in general and their behaviour and the way they perceive what you're doing?
Yes, very much so. They've become really sophisticated.
They have?
It used to be that South Island audiences were fantastic. Move that out of the way. Because they were so inhibited, they'd allow you to do the stuff that you wanted to do without trying to take over.
Yes.
But not anymore. Even the South Island, it's moved. The sophistication's moved further and further. You even get down to Invercargill, the kids are a lot more in your face, and it's not as much fun. You can't do mime because they just won't put up with it.
No. You think this is a result of the digital age? Computers, games? Or is it a lack of discipline? Is it?
I have a feeling it's people from Auckland moving south. Because
I think you're almost serious.
No, I am. There's this story about people who they were having real problems with a new New Zealand accent appearing. And the teachers didn't like it. And they were trying to get the children to speak properly in the old English way. And what happened is the accent slowly moved south, and they found out that the way that it was moving was children were moving from one city to another, and the city kids in the new city
Yes.
were emulating the new children, and that's how it moved.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because children don't pick up an accent from their parents, they pick it up from their peers.
Right, yes.
And
yes.
I guess behaviour is the same. Children don't pick up their behaviour from their parents, they pick it up from their peers.
No, well, that's an
That's my
interesting
theory.
thought. That's your theory, yes. Yes, worth thinking about. You entertain kids. We were talking to a children's entertainer a couple of weeks ago. Do you just entertain the kids, or do you put something in your act for the adults as well?
There's always something for the, no matter what happens anyway, there's always
Yes.
something for the adults. But, I mean, there are some entertainers who are doing sexual innuendo that
Yes,
only, you know,
yeah.
it's kind of like, oh, the children will never get it. For me, I've discovered there's a spot around about here, probably here actually, that if you aim for that, no matter what age, they'll get it.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't walk in to a thing specifically with this is for the kids and this is for the grown-ups and this is for everybody. So.
No, I like to think I perform for human beings.
That's
The dogs don't get it.
no.
And as a very important point, I was watching a video, a DVD, which was done by Alan Watson pertaining to the 7 Secrets of Success. And the one thing that he totally missed was watch your audience. Watch your audience. And you can find out if things are working or not, especially with kids, because when you start losing them, they start wriggling.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You're a Kiwi, of course, aren't
Yeah,
you?
Kiwi boy.
Where were you born?
Wanganui.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on the banks of the river.
With
Me
the
and
WH.
Moses. Yeah, but it's a WH, but the H is not pronounced. So it's still Wanganui, but it's spelt WH. I don't know why.
Oh. So how long were you in Whanganui?
Well, my dad was a doctor, so he was working in the hospital there, and then he went to another hospital in Palmerston North, and then he went to Melbourne. He came back again. So I was a little bit of a, round and round kid, but I left New Zealand when I was 6. And came back when I was 13, I think.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And you spent a lot of that time in Australia?
I suppose you could say that. They used to laugh at me in Australia. They'd say, the New Zealand Navy, it's only got one ship. What are you?
Well, back then, and when was that, 1824 or something?
Yeah,
We wouldn't have
that's
had
right.
much.
No, we
Yeah.
didn't. Yeah.
Michael, it's been so good talking to you,
Welcome,
mate.
welcome.
Thank you so much indeed. And for all the
And
balloons.
that water will wash out.
Oh, it will do, I'm sure, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Colonna.
See you later.
Welcome back. I'm rather excited about our next guest because in 12 shows, this is the first one that I don't know. Now, I've heard about him, and you're going to learn about him. And ladies and gentlemen, comedian Amadeus Diamond. Amadeus, good to have you on the show.
Good to be here, Guy. Thanks for having me.
Now, I was saying before to our producer, Gerard, that you're a young man with a dark past and a bright future.
That's
With
what I'm
it-
hoping, yeah. That's
Yes.
pretty much how I'm hoping it goes.
You said you're Kiwi-Irish.
Yeah,
Explain
yeah.
that.
So my mother's full-blooded Irish. She's
Yes.
100% Irish. My father's 100% Kiwi, but I was born in England. My dad moved there in the late 70s, I think, and started a company, was quite successful, had a family, and then we left there and left England in 1995 and moved here. So I've been here since then.
Right, so you're an Irish Kiwi, I rather
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And you've not always been in comedy.
No, not at all. I actually only started comedy, stand-up comedy at least, about 18 months ago. Mostly because I just didn't really know that you could just
Yes.
get up and do it. I thought that there was a bit more cachet to it and sort of needed a bit more networking skills than I had, But a friend of mine named Pete Hodkinson, who's also a stand-up comedian, he's based out of Wellington, he's doing quite well for himself at the moment. He started doing some shows and gave me some advice about how to get into it and who to. He told me to contact Scott that runs the Classic.
Yes. You had not done any comedy prior to that.
No, well, I'd done some sort of sketch type comedy with friends, with Pete. Pete and I, we've known each other
Yes.
for about 12, 13 years. So
Yes.
we have a very similar sense of humour, which is very sort of absurdist and non sequitur and strange and sort of out of left field. So we did a lot of just sort of sketch work and coming up with characters and this sort of thing. And there's some of that on YouTube, a little bit of that on YouTube, but never did a lot with it. And
Right.
then once we found stand-up, it seemed like a really good outlet for, being able to take it into your own hands and do what you want with it.
Are you writing your own material?
Yeah, 100%.
You are.
my
How do you
style.
find that?
It's pretty interesting because it's the first time I've written material that's been from real life. So, you know, with a lot of stand-up, it's conversational. So you'll be talking about something that actually happened to you and you're taking an anecdote and then you add the exaggeration or you add the punchline and that's where the comedy comes in. And it's the first time I've really used my life experience as fodder for coming up with the comedy and the humour.
So what has there been in your life that gives you material?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm sort of known around Auckland for a lot of dark material, which I don't think people necessarily realise comes from personal experience. Like in my material I talk about, I was a heroin addict for a couple of years in my early teens. When I was 18, I was sexually assaulted. My family was pretty broken when I was younger. There was a lot of mental illness, self-harm, suicide attempts, that kind of thing. And I touch on a lot of subjects like that.
They're just perfect for comedy.
Well, exactly. That's the thing. Is it's, you know, it's the perfect fuel for sort of completely denting your soul and you know making it prime for comedy. And so I'm known for that kind of thing. But it is a catharsis for me. You know, it's not. I'm not sort of trying to punch down, as they say. It's things that I've been through and things that I've seen that I'm trying to make light of, so that I don't go insane. You know. Of
course.
You know.
You have been through a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's very helpful.
Do you think you're too intelligent to be a comedian?
I don't really think that's possible. I think I think it's just really about the scene that you're in. You know, I think it's to do with what people are prepared to hear about. You know, where when I start talking about being sort of like a 13, 14-year-old heroin addict, people in New Zealand have a hard time relating to that. You know what I mean?
Of course, yes.
So
I understand.
So, you know, I set my sights on not just New Zealand, but I'm going to be spending about 3 months in the US at the end of the year.
Wonderful. Do you have any gigs lined up?
Yeah, I'll be doing some gigs I'm going to be in New York for about 6 weeks, sorry.
Yes.
And I have a friend there that runs a few rooms. And so I've got a few gigs lined up, and I've been in touch with people that run Laughing Buddha Comedy.
Wow.
So they control places like The Stand and Greenwich Village Comedy Club and places like that. So I've been in touch with them and let them know that I'm coming and that they'll be sort of ready to take.
So where do you see your future, over there or here in New Zealand?
Sort of go between, because my family. So I have a 4-year-old son.
Oh,
so,
really? Yes.
So that makes it very
living
very
here in
hard
New Zealand.
Yes. So that makes it very hard to do the one-way ticket.
Yes,
sort of thing,
I understand that.
So it's going to be sort of a here and there kind of thing. But I hope to go from the US and also to Britain.
Right.
Where I have citizenship in Britain. So
back here in New Zealand, how much have you had to do with the scene in getting gigs enough to make a living? Have you?
No. It's not a living for me at all at the moment. It's just something that I do as often as I can, but not. I didn't start early enough to be able to sort of jump straight in and say this is going to be my vocation from now on. I sort of started late enough that I was already working full-time jobs, and had a child and that sort of thing, commitments that I had. So I have to stay on top of that kind of thing. I can't really do the starving artist thing at this stage.
No.
I'm past that.
Yes. So you have a child,
Yes.
and you're sort of going to settle down, but you're off to the States. When you come back, would you look at a nationwide tour or anything?
Well,
like
yeah,
that?
that's what I'd really like to do. What I'd really like to do is be able to go there, gig my ass off the entire time I'm there, get a couple of hundred gigs in the sort of 7 or 8 weeks that I'm going to be there, and come back with some material. I hope to film a lot while I'm there, and come back with some material that I can then use for booking, sort of an EPK type thing for booking, and really push and make a really big effort to get gigs moving and promoters interested.
The thing is that once you get into it and you get a few gigs under your belt, particularly going to America, you won't want to do anything else.
Well,
it's contagious.
Sure.
It takes you for a lifetime.
Yeah,
it really does. And I was going to ask you to do something funny, but I'm not sure with our audience. So, have you got anything coming up before you go to America where people can see you?
I'm performing at the Lumsden in Newmarket, the Lumsden Free House, on the 4th of July. So that's I think 2 Mondays, not this Monday, but the Monday after. I think I'll be doing the Dog's Bollocks next Wednesday as well.
Oh, really? Yes. Nice little venue
Yeah,
there.
it's a good venue. Yeah, I'm glad somebody's finally doing a gig there, because there wasn't one for all of last year. So I've got those two, and at the Classic as well, July the 18th, I believe, at the Classic, which is a Monday.
And then when you off to America?
October the 17th.
October, right.
Yeah,
yes.
so not going till October.
Now, Amadeus, we mentioned it earlier, your background was very dark, and you
Yeah,
had some
sure.
addictions that
Yeah.
most people would think you'd just give up. How did you turn your life around? How have you become the man you are now?
Well, it's kind of strange. I mean, partly it's luck, partly it's sheer will. As I said, I was a heroin addict for a couple of years, and I decided to quit that cold turkey when it just became too much of a problem in my life, and I realized that, you know, you're either going to die or this is going to be the rest of your life, and you just can't have that. You know, you've got too much to do. So, quit that cold turkey. But one of the best ways to curtail the withdrawals of opiates is to drink. So I started drinking. So I had a drinking problem for a couple of years, and so that it's sort of replaced the same issues that kept going. Then I was, when I was about 18, I was in a relationship with a girl, and we were living out of home. And things got so turbulent in that situation that it was the same sort of thing where I had a wake-up call of, Jesus, this is all completely falling apart, and I'm going to be, you know, I'm going to find myself in a ditch somewhere if this keeps going. So again, I stopped cold turkey. I came home. I spoke to my mother. I said, look, I'm going to have to do nothing for a couple of months. I just have to recoup, take care of myself. And she said, sure, obviously, as a mother would, you know, said, sure, welcome me with open arms. And I took that time to just take care of myself and got through it. And,
Cold turkey, that's
it's tough.
admirable.
It's tough. It's really tough. You know, it's you know, I am proud that I was able to quit something like heroin cold turkey. But the problem with quitting a drug like heroin when you're 15 is that you then have to think of a way to...
15?
15, yeah. You then have to think of ways to sort of just waste time until you die, you know?
Yes, yeah.
It's quite difficult.
So now you're clean?
Not entirely clean. I mean, as we spoke about with the psychedelics, I mean, I still
yes.
use them maybe once or twice a year.
Well, I'm actually thrilled that you've come on the show. I think you've got a hell of a future.
Well, thank you very much.
Like I said, you've got a background of that is... And I feel terrible saying this, but with your background, there is so much room for comedy.
Well, yeah, it's exactly that's what I think. You know, you have to be able to laugh at everything, and
Well, yes,
I've got a lot to laugh at, you know.
That'll keep you living longer.
Yeah, exactly.
Amadeus, what a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me, man. Thank
Ladies and gentlemen, Amadeus Diamond, comedian extraordinaire. Another great show. Our time is up. I'd like to thank our very special guests, Michael Colonna and Amadeus Diamond. And I'd like to invite you back here next week, same time, same channel, and enjoy the Guy Cater Show. And don't forget, it's nice to be important, but it's much more important to be nice. Good night.